contest page and enter via GDS Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day from the Gold and Diamond Source and the Bone. Now, back to Real Raw Radio, sponsored by Anajar and Levine, Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Now, back to the Mike Calta After Show. Happy Hour. Happy Hour. Happy Hot Topic.
All right, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, filling in for the Mike Calta After Show. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. And a lot of times when I do the after show or I board up a show, this song I will play. It's called Here We Go Again by Jour. And let me skip to the chorus. Everybody thinks this is Daft Punk. And it's not. It's copycats from Chicago. Every time I play this, people will be like, what's that song by Daft Punk? I'm like, you mean the band that ripped off Daft Punk? Yeah, that's them. You got to think about how many artists over the 90s and 2000s before social media were able to just, or even radio shows, able to pretend like they're a big deal. And then like when Time Spent Listening came out and everybody was exposed, now the real ones are succeeding and the losers are not. And speaking of that, I'm going to get into Dave Chappelle being attacked. I don't know if it was because of COVID or whatnot, but it just seems like people don't know how to behave in public more than ever. And here's what I mean by that. We've had people that got into fights at NBA games. It really began to me when that person threw popcorn or something at Kyrie Irving when he beat the Celtics last year. And that was like the first time, that was when fans were allowed back after everything being shut down. And I was like, man, they don't know how to behave. And then there were other things that happened within other baseball games and that. Then you have comedians being attacked. And it's like, it's ruining it for everybody. And what it's ruining is these people aren't going to want to go out then. Because you got to think, 89 to 90% of the people that go to these shows are not going to attack Dave Chappelle or want to attack an NBA or NHL or MLB or NFL player, whatever sport it is. But the problem is the media then harps on these sports fans that get into fights, like usually it's Cowboy fans or this incident with Dave Chappelle, and it makes all us common folk look bad.
Investigation into that attack on comedian Dave Chappelle during a performance at the Hollywood Bowl. A man jumping on stage and then going after Chappelle. The suspect was armed with what's called a replica gun with a knife blade inside.
And he's not facing a felony. Ridiculous.
What we've learned tonight about the suspect, and here's ABC's Kaylee Hartung.
Tonight, the man seen here tackling Dave Chappelle at the Hollywood Bowl venue in Los Angeles is in custody. 23-year-old Isaiah Lee is being held on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon. Authorities say he was carrying this replica handgun with a knife blade.
Ladies and gentlemen.
TMZ video shows the assailant climbing on stage and attacking Chappelle in the middle of his set.
Subject wearing a black hat, blue flannel, gray pants.
Sounds like someone that would do that when you're wearing that outfit.
Then continues to run behind a screen where he was swarmed by the venue's security. Chappelle telling the crowd that the suspect was being stomped. The attacker was later taken to the hospital with injuries.
Yeah, you had to kind of beat him up at that point and set a precedent because they knew that the charges were not going to be felonies. I don't know. It just seems like no one's getting charged with crimes to the fullest anymore. Like even Jussie Smollett up in Chicago, when he was saying that those Trump supporters beat him up in negative 20-degree weather in the liberal part of Chicago, he was sentenced to like a few months in jail and then was released after like a day. It's just like, I don't know, it's weird.
Moments later, Chris Rock, who also performed at the Netflix As a Joke the festival, joining Chappelle. Rock referencing the infamous slap that occurred at the Oscars.
And Will Smith complained to Jada and was like, I'm offended by that. And then Jada was like, Will, you're whipped by me. So if you're offended by that, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. If you look at that relationship, there is no way that Will Smith has any control.
Among the star-studded crowd, Jamie Foxx, who rushed to help security. TMZ video showing Foxx and Chappelle on stage together to close the show.
Whenever you're in trouble, Jamie Foxx will show up in a sheriff's hat.
I love Jamie Foxx. Here's why Jamie Foxx is the greatest of all time. Was he was banging, or that sounds crude. He was dating Katie Holmes secretly for 5 years and nothing came out about it, man. When you're able to date someone that elite and that pretty and nothing comes out about it, you're a legend.
Tonight, Chappelle's rep releasing a statement saying, as unfortunate and unsettling as the incident was, Chappelle went on with the show, adding Chappelle is fully cooperating with the active police investigation into this incident.
Hey,
And David, it's unclear how we got that knife inside the Hollywood Bowl.
Never. Never.
$30,000, and the district attorney here in LA will decide in the next few days.
Those years, right, Hoppy?
Yeah.
David.
Kaylee Hartung tonight. Kaylee.
And then he'll get rid of them when he's done. Right. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Is that bad?
No, back
All right.
to
News YouTube
just in
channel.
front of the board.
If you'd like
Yeah.
More videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage. Click on the right over here.
We will be sure to do that, Dave, because that's what everybody wants to do is go to Good Morning America for news. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. I played the whole news clip just now because 2 people from work came in and had to talk to me. Anyway, this is from Bro Bible, which you may not think is a reputable news source, but trust me, it is. Joe Rogan claims cancel culture attempts backfired and sent millions of news subscribers his way. And that's what I've been thinking the whole time, is this whole hater culture on social media. There's 2 ways to do it. You can either let it bother you and reply and give them the time of day, or you can let people just run their mouth and people will come your way and be into what you are doing. Joe Rogan remains the most popular podcast on the planet after weathering recent controversies and attempts to have him deplatformed from Spotify. And the thing that was funny too was there was all these employees of Spotify that didn't like him. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but the funny thing about it is the fact that anybody who's listening to Joe Rogan, I'm not saying this is a good or bad thing. They know that Joe's going to be, crazy, edgy, say things that are not conventional. And the Spotify employees think by canceling him that A, they're not going to seek out his content if he goes to a new place, and B, they're hurting him. And you're not. Unless you do some hideous crime, like you're Derek Chauvin or Scott Peterson or, I don't know, a creep. Any publicity is good publicity. Rogan spoke about the recent cancel culture attempts from resurfaced clips of him using racial slurs. He says the attempts to cancel him actually put his numbers up. I wouldn't say he needed to be canceled over the racial slurs, but that was where I was like, okay, I get it. Like, you just don't use those words. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, why would that even come out of your mouth? You know what I mean? There's no reason ever to say those words. We are all human beings on this planet for a short time. We should all love each other and appreciate it. All right, coming up next is Roger and JP. Then it's Drew Garabo Live, Johnny B, or Academy Mo, and then Johnny B. And we got the best weekend talk radio tomorrow. Live content from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then you got replays all weekend. Just in case you missed one of the shows, there is never a reason not to listen to 102.5 The Bone. And then every day for the next few weeks at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., noon, 2, and 5, you can win money from the Bone Bonus. And shout out to everybody who came out to Free Gas Friday this morning. We announced it around 7:27 a.m. when Carmen was out there, and she called in around 8:05 for the update, and it was all sold out. no more tickets to get your gas because you give out, I guess you get 102 tickets each. So like there's 102 cars that get gas. And the fact that we went through it in 35 minutes truly shows how special the Bone fam is, how special the Bone listeners are, and how you guys are the greatest fans in the world. You guys talk on social media, positive or negative, but the fact that in 2022, when everybody assumes that radio is dead and there's nothing left, and that nobody cares about radio, it is so refreshing to see the Bone fam doing their thing on social media. It truly is. Because I'm from Chicago, which was once called the best radio market in the world, and you have New York City radio, LA, and they might have a show or two that's popular, but it's all the same thing. But here, man, what makes the Bone great, and what makes Mike Kelta especially great, is the fact that Mike Kelta is very generous. A lot of radio people only want to succeed, but the greatness of Mike Kelta shined this morning when he was like saying, I want comedians to be funny on my show. And they were talking about other shows that want to be the funniest in the room. And that will only work for so long. Always trying to be the best in the room. So that's why I am thoroughly grateful to have Mike Kelta and Mike O as mentors, because they are the best. All right. I see Monica's about to walk in. So up next is Roger and JP. This has been Hoppe Hour, filling in for the Mike Kelta after show with Carmen. Don't worry, she will be back this Monday. But guess what? I'll be here all weekend.